this is also a great opportunity to start or continue, for some of you, some really difficult but absolutely necessary conversations with your governments. So that's an overview of where we are at the moment, and as always, feedback and responses would be very appreciated. Thanks, Mugwena.
Thank you so much, Ariela. Insightful presentation. Have really noted the issues that you have raised, critically being that when we're dealing with these technologies, we have to have the human face. We have to always remember that we are about people, and technologies must serve people and not profit making. So I will end it there. I'll come back to that, and thank you so much. Can we give her a round of applause as we will be now going into the next session of allowing our panelists to do that. May we give her a round of applause, please, as I allow her to be listening now. Thank you so much. Right, now let's listen to our esteemed panel. That at a later stage I will be inviting our researcher here, Patricia, to also reflect after they have made their points. And let me humbly request that please 3 minutes is 3 minutes. Okay, but I will be kind and give you an extra 1 minute or so, but when I raise my microphone, please watch. So it will be 5 minutes, I'm told. But in another forum, I was told that 5 minutes is 3 minutes. It's fine. No, I'm not intimidating you, but I'm saying you have 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes. Just wanted to see your faces. Beautiful, of course. So we have 5 minutes each. So we know that you have a lot of experience. Yeah. We are going to be listening to your experiences, your perspective from your own organization, for that matter, because we know EI member organizations are doing a lot around the issues that Antonia has raised, in particular on artificial intelligence. And thanks to EI, that you launch another initiative on artificial intelligence, because when we are on this particular campaign, go public, fund education, clearly it is a message that we need to be able to spread out there, that we need more money for our teachers, for our researchers, for everyone who's dealing with this, over and above the money we need for the digital tools. Now, Yusra, here is the question that we wish you could share with us. What are the work-related challenges, okay, related to technologies and digital tools that you have experienced as a leader? But secondly, what has your organization done to face those particular challenges? Okay, over to you. Mike.
Concernant donc les défis qu'on a relevés pendant le Covid et qu'on a essayé donc de leur trouver des solutions afin de garantir des conditions de travail de qualité et efficaces pour les enseignants et pour donc les étudiants. Ils sont nombreux. Je commence par l'accès donc aux ressources donc technologiques. Donc notre syndicat il a plaidé en faveur donc de l'allocation des ressources donc, adéquates pour garantir donc la continuité pédagogique pendant le Covid. Deuxièmement, donc, un autre défi concernant donc, la formation et les compétences numériques que les enseignants doivent avoir pour pouvoir assurer donc, leur cours en utilisant les technologies de l'information et de la communication. Et là, notre syndicat a soutenu l'ensemble donc, des enseignants pour avoir donc, une formation pour les aider en montée de compétences en technologie et veiller à ce que cette formation soit adéquate et accessible donc, à tous les enseignants. Un autre défi concernant l'évaluation équitable, donc le syndicat aussi, il a essayé de s'assurer que les méthodes d'évaluation utilisées par les enseignants envers donc, les étudiants soient équitables aussi et prennent en compte les défis spécifiques auxquels sont confrontés les étudiants et bien sûr donc, les enseignants. Et surtout la charge donc, de travail, c'est un défi qu'on a aussi relevé parce que, comme mentionné donc, précédemment, concernant l'accès, concernant la formation, etc., l'enseignement à distance a entraîné une surcharge donc, de travail et le syndicat donc, il a commencé à négocier des accords sur la charge donc, de travail et s'assurer que les enseignants ne soient pas donc, submergés et surchargés par l'usage de l'enseignement à distance. Un autre défi qui a été soulevé par ma collègue aussi, la protection donc, de la vie donc, privée. Et là, le syndicat, puisqu'on partage donc, des données personnelles avec donc, les étudiants à distance, et là, le syndicat veille toujours à ce que les données soient protégées conformément aux lois et sur la vie privée et à ce que les enseignants soient informés aussi des protocoles de sécurité. Un autre défi, celui du bien-être donc, mental. Vous savez très bien qu'avec donc l'enseignement donc à distance, on s'est trouvé donc isolé. Donc cet isolement donc social nous a causé une sorte de stress lié à l'enseignement à distance et la gestion des classes virtuelles aussi, et qui a eu donc un impact sur le bien-être mental des enseignants. Et là, le syndicat, il a essayé de promouvoir donc, des ressources de soutien psychologique et des politiques donc, de bien-être au travail. La sécurité aussi de l'emploi, le syndicat est appelé aussi à protéger les emplois des enseignants en particulier lorsque les mesures d'austérité donc budgétaires sont envisagées en raison des crises économiques liées à la pandémie. Et finalement, on s'est préparé donc à l'avenir et on a essayé toujours donc de jouer un rôle donc clé dans la planification à long terme et on a pour l'enseignement donc pour garantir une qualité donc d'enseignement à distance et on a essayé de s'impliquer toujours dans les décisions donc prises pour essayer donc d'adapter ces décisions au contexte donc réel donc tunisien. Donc en résumé, nous étions et nous le serons toujours donc des défenseurs des droits des enseignants face aux défis donc liés à l'enseignement à distance, en s'assurant que nos membres bénéficient des ressources, des formations et des conditions de travail nécessaires pour réussir
the budget, and to have success in this new changing environment in continuous education. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Yusra, for this insightful presentation. Over to you, my friend. The question remains the same. Thanks.
Merci. Alors, je m'appelle Caroline Kennel, je suis présidente d'une
Soy
fédération de
Caroline
35 000 membres
Kennel.
qui sont principalement en
We
enseignement
are
supérieur. Et je vais vous parler aujourd'hui de notre
organization
expérience
of
syndicale avec
25,000
l'intelligence
members.
artificielle.
I'm going to be talking
dire très
about
franchement
AI.
Qu'il n'y a pas si
And
longtemps,
to be honest,
mon idée de l'intelligence artificielle
recently the idea I had
liée au film
about
américain comme
AI
Terminator,
was linked to the
où
North
les robots,
American
se
movie, The
battaient
Terminator,
contre les humains,
where the
ils
robots
menaçaient
were
de
fighting
détruire
against
l'humanité.
humans and threatened to destroy
Je ne sais pas si on
mankind.
est rendu là.
I don't know
Mais très certainement,
if you
cette
agree
empreinte
with
imaginaire,
me
elle est
or if
importante
we
dans
are
notre
in that
esprit.
path, but
Quand on
this
pense,
imaginary is
tout
really
récemment, et
important.
c'est ce qui a
When
créé
we
une grande
thought
vague chez nous,
recently,
c'est
and this
l'arrivée de
created a great
ChatGPT.
wave, is the
ChatGPT qui a
arrival
été
of
créé
ChatGPT
par, la compagnie
that was
américaine
created by the
OpenAI,
American company
fondée par
OpenAI,
Elon Musk.
founded
Déjà là,
by Elon
il y a un
Musk,
problème. Et
and
qui a
we
quitté
have a
la
problem
compagnie.
there. Well,
Cette
he left the
intrusion dans notre
company
réalité qui date à
and
peine
he
d'un an, même pas un an, novembre
was immersed
2022.
in our reality
qu'à
since
l'inauguration de
2022.
ChatGPT,
Well,
après
during
5
the
jours,
inauguration of
5
ChatGPT,
millions
after 5 days, there were
d'utilisateurs.
already 5
3
million
mois plus
users.
tard,
3 months
millions
later,
d'utilisateurs.
100 million
Et les
of
plus récentes
users.
données que j'ai pu voir,
And the
c'est
most
qu'en ce
recent
moment,
data
il y a 10
is
milliards
that
de questions
nowadays we
posées
have
par mois.
$10
Alors ça veut
billion
dire que nos
of,
étudiants, nos enseignants,
of questions
nos
made to
directions,
GPT.
tout le monde
Our
est
professors,
en
our
interaction
top management
active
is
avec
having
l'intelligence
an
artificielle.
active interaction with AI.
Notre syndicat, notre fédération
Our union,
réfléchit
our
depuis un certain temps sur
federation
l'intelligence artificielle et elle ne
reflect
se limite pas, cette intelligence artificielle, à
IA,
l'intelligence générative
and
comme
this is not
ChatGPT, les
limited
chatbots.
to the
Il y a dans nos
generative
établissements
IA,
beaucoup
the
d'outils qui sont
chatbots
déjà en
and
place
ChatGPT.
pour corriger automatiquement, pour sélectionner les étudiants,
GPT.
pour
In our
analyser les résultats des
universities, we need to
étudiants et
analyze
prédire ce qu'ils
those
deviendront.
results
Ça, c'est très
of the
dangereux.
students and to
Et nous, on
think
s'est dit, mais il
and
faut
what they
réfléchir ensemble,
will become. And this is dangerous.
une
So we
position
need to think
syndicale à cet
together
égard.
to have a union stance regarding this topic.
On nous dit que l'intelligence
Well,
artificielle
we
a
were
des
told
vertus,
that
Alexandra en a
artificial
parlé,
intelligence
réduction
has
des coûts,
like bounties.
efficience,
Well, it is
une réponse
efficiencies,
personnalisée, améliorer l'apprentissage.
customized
En
answer,
réalité,
improving
ces outils
the
déconstruisent
learning in reality.
l'acte d'enseigner.
Those
C'est notre
tools
travail,
deconstruct,
notre
they do not
expertise qui est au cœur
construct
de
the act of
l'introduction de
teaching.
ces
It's
outils.
our work and our
Donc, notre
experience that is
fédération
in
a
the
décidé
heart
de
of
prendre
those
une
tools.
position
So
syndicale
our generation
qui ne veut pas
decided to
être
take a union
technophile. On a
stance.
beaucoup de
They do
membres
not
qui
want to
aiment
be
la
technocrats.
plus
We have a lot of
technophobes,
members that are fond
ceux qui
of
sont
technology,
contre de manière
but and also not to be the ones
Nous
that
avons
are
adopté,
against the
nous souhaitons
tools.
adopter
We
une position
adopt or we want to
technocritique. Et
adopt
c'est pas facile.
a technocritical stance,
vient
and
se
believe
poser des
me, this is
questions.
not
Comme
easy.
Alexandra
And
le
this
disait,
makes us
des questions
ask questions,
Est-ce que l'intelligence
fundamental
artificielle sert à
questions.
bonifier la
So
relation
artificial
pédagogique?
intelligence
Est-ce
helps
que
to
l'intelligence artificielle est
add
l'unique et
something
meilleure
to our
option
pedagogical
pour former
education.
les
Is
individus?
it the only option
son
to train
utilisation est
individuals?
éthique?
Its use, is it
Finalement,
ethical?
À qui
And
profite-t-elle
finally,
vraiment? Aux étudiants,
who
aux
takes
enseignants,
advantage
aux
of it?
administrations,
The students,
au
the
gouvernement,
professors,
aux compagnies?
the
questions
administrations,
qu'il faut
the
se poser.
governments, the companies. Those are questions
Nous
that
avons donné
we
un mandat à
should
notre
make
comité de réflexion
ourselves.
qui s'appelle le
So
comité
we
École
have
et
another
Société
mandate in another
de
reflection
réfléchir,
committee,
et
which
ils
is
ont déposé
School
un
and
rapport
Society
en mai
Committee,
2022,
to
il y
think
a 6
about
mois
this. They
environ.
prepared
Et
a
c'est un
report
rapport qui
6
était
months ago
présenté à
in
tous nos
May,
syndicats.
and this
Nous en
was
avons
submitted to our unions. So we have 104 attendees, and we made union decisions in 2022 to register in this process, that there's a very important role of the union. Nevertheless, the artificial intelligence is in our life, or in the films, but in our life, as professors, we cannot go back or step back. It is impossible to say that does not exist. And there are interesting apps of IA, but the shared willingness of a responsible use, our committee called on our attention of the dangers, personal data, that it was mentioned, private life, this algorithmic discrimination that reproduces the stereotypes regarding women, racism, LGBTIQ+, also intellectual properties, copyrights, plagiarism. All of those are huge risks that are linked to our work as professors. Union must play an important role. It doesn't matter about the enthusiasm they have, but our provincial government is fascinated by all those innovative applications. So artificial intelligence is a danger, it's a peril for our population, the fragmentation of our task, individualization on overburden, this dehumanization, loss of autonomy of professors, and at the end, more precariousness. So let us adopt a union stance. Well, I'm going to summarize this. I'm not going to read out the 10 items, and I will end by saying this: the need of an ethical reflection, and critical as well, from the unions and all the players of society. The instauration on the National Forum, independent of the commercial interests or the interests that want to accelerate IA, and thirdly, the integration of AI.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
EI.
We'll come back when we answer the questions. I'm sorry to be rude. We will come back and
I
deal with
didn't
others.
mention the last one.
No. Thank you so much, Caroline. I'm sorry, I have given you extra 2 minutes.
Sorry?
Yes.
No,
yes.
no se oye.
Yeah,
We
you
can't
did.
hear. No.
Okay.
Ah, j'ai 2 minutes de plus.
Yeah. No, not now.
Tengo 2
When I come
minutos
back now.
más.
Yeah. So, Yamil,
Well,
can you share with us your experiences and your practical
bueno,
steps that you have taken to deal with these particular challenges, as have been reflected by both Yusha and Caroline as you respond? Yeah. Thank you. Over to you.
Muchas gracias y buenos días.
thank you very
Ahora estoy preocupada
much.
por mi tiempo, así
I
que
am
voy a
worried
tratar de
about
ser
time.
muy
I'm
breve.
going to be
Y voy a
brief,
retornar un poco a la
and I'm
pandemia,
going to
porque,
go back to the
claramente la
pandemic, because
pandemia es
clearly
la referencia
the
para estas
pandemic is the
discusiones, porque
benchmark
es la
for
situación
this
que
conversations,
visibilizó,
and that
aceleró,
made
profundizó,
visible,
intensificó
accelerated,
este proceso de incorporación de tecnologías
intensified
que
all
permiten la
the
educación
use
a
of
distancia y, en
technologies
general,
that
el
allow the
trabajo
remote
remoto, en particular el
education
trabajo
and remote
académico
work,
remoto,
the
y también
academic
es la
remote work,
situación en la
and
que se
also the
agudizaron
situation
viejos
where
problemas y se plantearon
different all
nuevos
problems
problemas para los y
got
las
worse
trabajadoras y para
for
las organizaciones
the
sindicales.
employees and
Voy a
union
mencionar algunas de esas
organizations. organization. So I'm going to mention this, and I'm going to talk about the approaches made by the union. As it was mentioned before, the lack of training. So the lack of training, not like to get better in technologies, but also to have a critical appropriation and the right use for education purposes. And this training will allow professors to be proactive in the allocation of resources under these conditions, and also a training that I understood not as a tool formation, but a pedagogical and political training will allow the professors that their journey around the world, where all these technologies are built, will be informed, critical, and warned about the political consequences as well as the labor consequences when incorporating this technology. Well, the training, in order to be an active part of the production process of the technologies, is a key matter for unions. And this has to do with another big problem that was raised during the pandemic, and we still see, is the adaptation to those technologies, which is really difficult, especially in education. All the tools that have been used in the pandemic and they are still used are not the right ones for the education. They are not right because they create more alienation. They also pose like great difficulties to separate the time of work and the time we have the right for other activities, because they generate communication problems, because they are much more demanding in terms of the resources that require the connectivity, the apps that can be used, and also entail like more inequalities as professors, but also for students. And also most of them are technologies whose origin is commercial, and they expose our data, and they establish us as professors like reproducers of our activity, and they make our mind theirs, and this is a threat for democracies and the citizenry conditions around the world. And these conditions, the academic freedom that we will keep talking during these 2 days, inequalities in terms of the conditions for the use and access to technologies, as I was saying, for professors, for students, in terms of access to connectivity, access to equipment, access to the availability of certain platforms and tools, and also the inequality in the access and opportunities of training and support and accompaniment during this task, and also the inequalities regarding gender. The use of technologies for the education have made visible this. We do not want, we have to make sure that to deal with this, also the gender impact in the labor conditions where there are remote. So in the fourth place, what we talked about is a lack of proper regulation in terms of labor rights. The definition of the work schedule, also the allocation of tasks. This is the incorporation of technology that have established new roles in the education that are not clearly defined or clearly acknowledged in terms of rights and in terms of remuneration and the career development or academic careers. There is no the right regulation that defines the provision of resources to perform our task. There is no right regulations according to intellectual property that has to do with the access to certain productions, to adapt them to our resources productions, the limitations and exceptions for intellectual property of the ones that produce when we teach all the things related to health, harassment, and also the training is also part of our labor conditions, and also it has to be regulated in a new legal framework. And all those matters are very difficult to regulate, if not impossible, when we have an increase of precarious labor and precarious recruitment with lack of union representation and negotiating bargaining. So this incorporation of technologies in education, in academics sector generates a challenge of organization. This is a new reality that unions have to be able to address, to organize and produce the advocacy for rights, but also the challenge of politicization of the union action and politicization of the professors, researchers, and students. As I said at the beginning, to have a critical presence that will not make us to participate involuntarily in a device that is sold and it dominates us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for our panelists. You would agree with me, participants, that this subject of artificial intelligence requires more time. The experiences that have been shared tells me that as unions we have got to continue to do more work on how we can influence a number of processes and stages of artificial intelligence. So thank you so much as the panel. And as I have said, you'll have another bite when we will be dealing with the Q&A. So don't feel that I am too harsh, but I needed to manage time. So thank you so much for really cooperating with me. Now, I am going to allow Patricia, our researcher from DESOC, a laboratory of labor and society, to share with us, Patricia, from what you have listened and what you have heard, what unions are doing, but obviously also tell us what are the legal implications around these artificial intelligence technologies and digital tools that we're talking about, but also what could be the next steps, okay, to address the most remarkable challenges at the national or international level. So over to you. Yes, thank you so much.
Muy bien, muchas gracias a ti.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me. Well, today I'm going to give you an overview from my role of activist in human rights in technologies, but I took many notes. You're gonna stop, you will have to stop me because I can keep going. So I will stick to the time. Well, the first thing that is striking is the need to abandon the perspective of technological neutrality that probably authorities that make the decisions related to education, technology, and we understand, but to try to convey that the decisions regarding technology are essentially political. And from the unions, what is happening is that they are addressing the emerging issues. And this is quite complicated because you have a diagnosis. I read it. I loved it. I found dimensions that I didn't even foreseen, but you delimited the problem, and the next step is to identify concrete dimensions to develop RAIN vindication technologies. So, because my colleagues have shared concrete definitions, but also the compared law, and to have this information, because it involves many technical aspects that oftentimes are out of the capabilities of a union. So that is why, besides addressing emerging issues, the tech dimensions like the ones mentioned here, obviously regulation of remote work. For example, in my country, recently, a law on regulation of remote and hybrid work for the sector private, but does not apply to professors. But also in labor condition and lack of willingness in the positions, all the work journeys, that not having work elements for what it is expected. We expect that all the professors will have a laptop when they have to have a remote and hybrid schedule. Well, those matters, and also the right to disconnection. Well, it is very important to understand where we are at. We have to be clear on remote and hybrid work. Another dimension, it is the personal data protection. In Uruguay, we have been working with the personal data protection authorities. Those units in the government exist. They were built for this purpose. In Uruguay, at the level, a national level, we want to give Google apps for each professor and student. We're talking about 70% of children that are covered by public education. I'm from the University of La República, where I am a professor too. We had this reaction, hey, well, this deserves more reflection, like to open an account to each student is well, we went to the unit, and the project, basically what happened is that the unit supported us. Yes, we need the consent from the parents, blah, blah, blah. So to go to the personal data protection units in education is essential. Obviously, they are very technical. They will not help with they will help with the political vision, but if they don't, the training is needed, and to start creating delegates of data protection at public education level. The organization to have opt-in or opt-out rules, that to have a possibility in case of an assessment or where the learning expected is in person. Well, when we are talking about a university that is not virtual, and when we expect that the classes will be in person, and also to access to remote apps and delivering all the data of parents and students, if there was no an agreement, we need an opt-out. So those matters should be there. And also cybersecurity, but I have had many cases on which the hired platforms are delivered or given to a group of professors. The administration of the platform is given to professors with high technical capabilities. Well, the thing is that cybersecurity issues are not managed. They have to be training. If the professor will administrate the platform, well, it has to be properly trained. Also, the data governance, which is a huge dimension. We're talking about data governance. When in review, the technical issues are assessed, all the treatment of data, the quality of data, but the data governance per se is not organized. Universities where clauses of portability are negotiated with the platforms hired. Tomorrow, we don't want to be like part of the contract. We can take all the materials and the courses to another platform. Was that negotiated? No, we don't do that. Well, I have a lens of the South, but this is not in the horizon of authorities. The same thing for data sovereignty. So the cost of data. As university, we have a policy of maintaining the data inside the countries. Have we discussed this? Well, the data governance and the negotiations, real negotiation of contracts. Well, sometimes I have contracts of addition with platforms, and for this we need to have strong and established unions. And then I go to the capacity building, and this is to avoid being like putting up fires or detecting emergencies. Today is AI generative, but now is to create work groups to build capacities inside the union. It is a necessary idea, and a good option as well is to partner with NGOs that work in human rights and technology, because the political dimension, not only the ones that the authority have in data protection or the ones that work in the government related to data governance, because there's a very technical lens, and the political lens will not be taught during the course with the organ NGOs. We do have this lens.
And there are also many forums where we can exchange ideas. I don't know if my time is up, and well, I'm going to shut up now.
Thank you so much, Patricia, for the reflections and obviously mapping the way forward for our unions in terms of what is it that is facing us and what is it that we have to do. Now, I'm kind of sad because we're going to part ways with our online participants, because we're going now into Q&A. So thank you very much for those who online. We appreciate you. And we hope that this session has enlightened you. We would have loved that you could send your views. However, we know that as part of the surveys, as part of the research that we will be initiating, as Antonia has indicated clearly, is that we make a plea to all our union member organizations to always participate in these surveys in order to inform our strategic objectives as we move on these particular issues of technology. So thank you very much. The live stream is terminated now. And therefore, we are going to open this session for questions, comments to our esteemed panelists, as well as our guest here, Patricia. And obviously, Antonia will also be able to respond to some of the issues. So, how are we going to deal with? I'm going to give the first row this side and this one, so it will be on my left. So, if you have your hand up, I would request that you say your name and the union which you are coming from, and then straight to the point. So, you are going to be one, and you're going to be two, and yeah, you're going to be one, and two, and three, and four. So we have got four on this side. Over to you, sir.
Buenos días.
Good morning. This is a question for my Argentinian colleague. Next November 19th, you are going to have a second round to decide who is going to be your next president of the country. Javier Milei is proposing, in terms of education, what the colleague from Uruguay mentioned, the educational voucher, ensuring that since education is a good, a commodity, we have to deal with the demand, finance the students and all the schools. On the other hand, the other candidate, Sergio Massa, if I remember correctly, is a man that proposes that we have to harden, strengthen the rules to come into high schools or to study, in this case, for being a teacher, and ensures, among other things, that the educational budget has to be distributed throughout Argentina. What do you think? What do the unions think in Argentina about these proposals? What do you think as an Argentinian person about these two proposals that these two candidates are doing?
Okay, thank you. You have noted it, and I'll give you an opportunity to respond. Not now. I just want to take all the questions so that we can share the responses. Number two. Over to you, ma'am. Okay, they will give you a mic.
Good morning, everyone, and congratulations to the panel members. First of all, how do we start from the development of a humanistic culture, linking the development of democratic governance and also open science? I think that this is another element that at least I didn't hear from you, and could be the possibility to articulate in the development of human capital in this sense, co-participation and co-creation. Thank you.
Thank you. Straight to the point. That was three. That was two. Number three.
Merci. Abdelaziz Saïbiddin, Susu Maroc. Donc, ma question sera donc bonjour.
Good morning. I am from the a representative of a union in Morocco. It was really pleasant to see that all the panel members were women, are women. And my question is a general question, and it's for all the panel members. The remote education and digitalization is interesting, but how do you see, or what do you think about the financial resources for the poor countries, the countries that are not able to buy computers or tablets for the students? And second question, don't you think that we would need a document about digital issues? I mean, that each country could have its own document to respect or honor the specifications of each country. Number three, don't you think that our unions should adapt? I repeat, should adapt to the digital things, because some unions have not addressed this digital revolution.
No? Thank you.
Oui, bonjour et merci aux panélistes d'avoir partagé avec nous.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you to the panel members for sharing the experiences, their own experiences. I want to highlight the fact that we're talking about a political topic, not technological topic, but political topic. And that is why we have to focus on the political use of technologies and what is implied in terms of our union activities. So I would like to know how to face the fact that as a union, as an education union, we cannot face a broad topic alone, I mean, in a silo. We have to cooperate with other unions. We have to cooperate with unions of other professions. We have to cooperate with other parties, for example, bank unions, insurance unions, other sectors where the digital technologies and artificial intelligence has been implemented since long ago. In my union, we are lucky enough to belong to a federation that organizes training where we share our experiences in this sense. So I would like to know your experiences in each of your countries because we're talking about a very interesting topic. And a topic that goes beyond the education sector. My second question is about the accountability, the accountability. How can we force politicians, and I'm not talking about informatic people, but politicians that use the algorithm, how to force them to be accountable? What can we do based on my experience? I mean, in silos, we're not going to be able to do that. Our unions need political support amongst those in the deputy in the debate area. So I would like to know what is your situation in your countries.
Is that we are going to allow the panel to respond to these 4 sets of questions. Of course, there are more than 4 because my friend from Morocco asked 3 questions. So there are more. But I'm going to start with Yamel. So you respond to the specific in Argentina. And then you're going to be followed by Caroline. So you can also, Caroline, have an opportunity to state the last point you wanted to state because we value all the suggestions and the experiences that you have. And so it's time. It is only that the topic will not end, but it's time that it's going to end. But the topic will continue. So over to you. You'll share. You'll indicate which one you want to respond, but I want to start with you. And Patricia, you also welcome to respond to the 4th. And then I'm going to come to my right-hand side and also give you the opportunity. If we still have time. Is there somebody here? Oh, I didn't see the hand. I'm so sorry. Oh, no, I'm going to come that side. I'm going to come that side later. I want to deal with 4 this side. Over to you, Yamil.
Bueno, well,
in my intervention, I said that this was a political issue and that here also the democracy is at stake, So, and I also said that it was necessary to build a perspective, from the unions, a political perspective about this issue, not only to defend our work-related rights that, according to my colleague, this cannot be solved only from our sector, but it has to be a perspective from the working class, but also not to be unintentionally part of the reproduction of a device that just captures ideologically our populations, and that's why challenges or risks our democracies. I'm saying this because the colleague asked about the situation of the elections in Argentina Argentina. And I want to tell you that, candidates like Javier Milei, this candidate was possible, among other things, also because of the production of hatred speeches in the social media, for our difficulty to have debates in the social media, and also because somehow we have not generated enough political capability to participate in this social reality where technologies are very powerful, and where this is being very negative for the popular movement and for democracy. And now, going to the question, we don't have any doubt, unions, educational unions, my union and the unions in general, know that right now in Argentina, we need the triumph of Sergio Massa, that also is driving in the parliament a new law that increases financing for education, and particularly that talks about doubling the budget, the public budget for universities. So this is a general project, an overall project that represents, of course, the protection of our rights and the possibility in a democracy to continue fighting for more rights.
Thank you very much, Emel. Caroline, please be brief.
Merci. Alors, je vais terminer. Certainement. Les décisions se prennent en ce moment, elles se prennent rapidement, elles se prennent
Now
sans
the
nous.
decisions
Il est important que
are
les syndicats,
made very
même s'ils ne
quickly,
sont pas
and
formés
without
parfaitement,
us, it is important that the unions, in spite of not having perfect training, it's important that they participate. I agree with my colleague. We're talking about a political issue. The idea of some special documents of each country, it's interesting. There are responsibilities at a governmental level, at a local level, but we need to participate as unions. It's not enough to just wait, because the debate at present talks about technologies, but not about education. And as I said, education is a human experience, it's a collective experience. We have to keep the human being in the core of our concerns.
Sorry. Juste pour partager avec vous une expérience qu'on a vécue pour
I would like to share with you an experience, and also to answer
d'autres secteurs.
To answer to the question about the exchange of experience with other sectors. During the pandemic, COVID pandemic, to ensure the continuity of education, we have included the universities and the unions to look for solutions to continue education. What we did was that, thanks to the agreements signed with the Economic Consortium, we were able to obtain computer equipment for the students, and also for teachers who had not the resources, the material resources to be logged in, to logged in from their houses. We also offered subscriptions of internet. The unions negotiated internet subscriptions also for students or for professors without the resources. We also organized money gatherings to do these purchases. We as unions have also organized these money collections, and we, as unions, directly look for help for the students to continue taking classes remotely. So this was really authentic solidarity that was born from this pandemic crisis. But after the pandemic, there were projects financed by the World Bank to support education that at first we rejected, but then we thought that these are projects that would allow us to buy pieces of equipment for the universities to have platforms and laboratories to ensure the continuity of education during the pandemic.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask Patricia to not come in now, so that we give the floor to the other colleagues this side. I'm going to take 4 only, because I only have 9 minutes left, only 4. So 2 at the back, 1, 2, and then 1, and then 3, and 4. Okay, 5.
I'm going to speak.
Number 1.
French, yes. Bonjour, je suis Michel Maric, je suis le nouveau
I'm going to speak French. Michel Maric, the new person in charge of the National Union of Higher Education in France. It's the first time that I participate here, and I would like to thank you to the IE and to the Mexican colleagues for the quality of your warm welcome. I wanted to do this because it's the first time I come to a meeting like this. I would like to also take this opportunity to tell you that we have a singer in Belgium that is called Old Jam, and last summer she made a cover of a rap song that was never sung. It is really artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence really made the cover of a successful song by this singer, and at the end, this singer had to really sing that song during a show. And she was saying to the reporters, "I am scared. I should not be scared because this is exciting and singing is exciting." What I mean is that in France, we have colleagues that are scared about artificial intelligence, but we should not be scared because we, in higher education and in investigation, we generate knowledge. And we cannot think, I mean, we should not be scared about artificial intelligence if we don't know what this is. And it's also returning what we give it, what we feed it with.
Please give to the next one. Yeah, we hear you. We have your point.
La segunda. I would like to know the topic is the same for maybe further or for junior high education, if it's the same for the investigation organisms. So we as university people or as investigators, we should not be scared of new technologies. However, I would like to ask you if this revolution is going to be made for us or against us.
The next speaker, please. I only have 30 seconds. And it's just fair that we allow other people to have an opportunity to do that. So please ask the question. If it's not the question, unfortunately, I'm not taking comments anymore. It's only questions. Over to you.
Bueno, pues
Okay, I'm going to ask a question, but I had an explanation. I work in artificial intelligence in education since the 90s, and therefore I am not afraid of technology. I like technology. The question is, do we really believe as unions that they are going to pay attention to us and they are going to make us affiliates? I mean, those people who have not feared to technology, as we can see in the environment, in the setting. By the way, I come from Spain, from the General Union of Workers, from the Union of Research Universities. I am the person responsible. So the question is if we are going to continue being afraid of technology or being against of technology, because I can notice that.
Yeah, we got the question. Are we going to continue to be afraid? My colleague here, over to you.
Oui, merci. Patrick Montfort. Allô. Patrick Montfort, syndicat des chercheurs en France.
Patrick Montfort in the Union of France. Very quickly, we have a problem, a semantics problem, because artificial intelligence is not intelligent. I mean, we as unions should ask ourselves. I mean, are we forced to use this word, artificial intelligence? Maybe we have to find another word, because artificial intelligence is not intelligent. This technology is already here, as in the case of other technologies from the past. What we have to make sure of is that our work and our labor-related conditions are not destroyed. But, you know, the oral dimension of education is going to continue, and the relationship between students and educators will continue. And orally, verbally, the pseudo-artificial intelligence will not replace us. This is important for the unions. How to reformulate this question about artificial intelligence that is not intelligent.
I want to close, but I'm going to allow the colleague there to ask a question. And Patricia, you'll be brief, right?
Buenos días, Jorge Alfaro.
Good morning, Jorge Alfaro from the National, from the Center Education. In your countries, in your unions, have you tried or have you been able to create your own platforms, from based on your knowledge for the educators to use, generate, you know, all this work with implications, you know, ethical implications, etc.? This is the question.
Thank you so much. Patricia, you have... Oh, I thought you were having 2 minutes. So you are taking 1 minute of my time. But over to you. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
There are like 8 questions. I don't even know what all the questions are. I want to answer some concerns. The colleague that spoke French was talking about the need of working jointly with other unions. I definitely agree. This is a topic that goes beyond education, and that we have to generate, you know, this capability building, capability to face this issue. And I think that we have to look for unions that have similar problems. For example, you know, labor regulation problems, and try to generate some similar positions. And the second thing, the last thing I'm going to say is that there are some forums, discussion forums, where the unions should be involved. For example, the forums of conversations about the regulations of artificial intelligence. In Europe, for example, this year, they are approving the regulation at the end of the year, and then they will start with the processes of each country to regulate artificial intelligence. The unions have to be there, also based on, you know, a risk management process. Another 2 more forums, the remote work regulation forum. In some countries, the pandemic triggered these discussion or conversation forums. But at present, they are discussing, projects regulate remote and hybrid work. The unions should be there. Another topic is it's not only a law-making forum, but a governmental politics. The data governance in Latin America, there are many processes to make kind of a decision tree, and the unions should be also there. And finally, somebody talked about financing.
Thank you.
And financing. If we are going to look for financing or for funds, the idea is sovereign technology. We have the capacity, we have examples in Latin America of own platforms, free platforms with own capabilities. The universities are not always, doing this, but I want to encourage you to get the financing and move to sovereign technology. That's it.
You'll agree with me that it's an exciting, interesting topic, and we have learned a lot. So I wanted to afford my panelists 30 seconds each, but I know it's not going to be possible. So I'm just going to be saying to each one of you, just one word you would say to the unions. One word. From my side, I'm going to say mobilize. So what is your one word that you can say as a message? Yusra? Mike.
Il ne faut pas rester technophobe envers les technologies.
We should not continue being afraid of technology. Technologies are there.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes we are imposed these technologies, but as unions we have to be there to defend our rights and the rights of our colleagues.
Caroline, one word to the unions.
Technocritique.
The
word would be technocritical. Technical critical.
Proper. Yes, Yamel.
La incorporación de tecnología al proceso de trabajo.
The addition to technology to the work has to be led by the organized working class.
Working class organization for that. So let me thank the panelists. Can you give them a round of applause, please? They've been very wonderful. They are not so angry with me. I thought they would be angry with me, but they are fine. They are wonderful people, all of them, because they are leading trade union, leading the profession. So from my side, thank you very much, participants. Thank you very much, the leadership, and very much to our staff members who have worked so hard to ensuring that we're able to get this beautiful panel here that have really shared their experiences, practical steps that they are doing, especially as they were responding to the pandemic. So this is what they have done. So to me and the panel, we want to thank you and say to you, please go and advocate for equality, social justice, the human face. Go and mobilize, go and organize. Make sure that there's protection of data. Thank you so much, and I hand over to the conference directors. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much. Thanks, Antonia. Thanks. Okay, Patricia, and my beautiful panel. Thank you so much. Please give them a round of applause.
Muchas gracias a nuestros participantes. Les informamos a todos los asistentes que daremos paso a un receso que será de 10:30 a 10:55 de la mañana para que a las 11 en punto podamos iniciar con nuestra cuarta sesión de trabajo con el tema Ganar para los miembros, estrategias y éxitos sindicales. Repito, receso de 10:30 a 10:55 de la mañana.
From 10:30 to 10:55 a.m.